Tacos officiel représente.
Oh mesquin, lui il a perdu un pari. Pas mal.
Regarde. J'en ai pas moi. Si je
Quoi?
passe à l'aéroport et qu'ils mettent le petit coton là je passe pas à la douane.
Nous voici sur le stand HOLOSUN. C'est l'occasion de découvrir les nouveaux produits.
So this is that's the EPS. EPS. This is the EPS carry. So these are slightly different.
Why?
So this one is smaller than the other one.
Okay, we can compare with the
That's a 509.
Okay.
Now there's a 509, there's the EPS, and the EPS carry. So
Okay.
the carry is slightly smaller than the EPS is smaller than the 509.
On est d'accord, c'est le pire endroit pour discuter des nouveautés. Et si je vous emmenais au siège de HOLOSUN à Los Angeles, ça vous dit?
Well, my name's Louis Craig. I've worked at HOLOSUN since February of 2016. HOLOSUN as a company started back in 2014. In the beginning, it was very difficult for HOLOSUN, and you have to understand that the US market has hundreds of brands that make optics. HOLOSUN came into that market with a very unique technology and a very unique factory and way that we build things. And it took us a few years to really convince the market that we were different. We weren't just another of those 100 brands. Great quality through a variety of features that are fairly unique to the HOLOSUN line. We've managed to make a great brand for ourselves in a very short period of time. In the beginning, you might have 1 or 2 people out of 10 that walked into a gun store who knew what HOLOSUN was and asked for it by name. And now you probably have 8 or 9 people who know who HOLOSUN is and ask for it by name. So from 2014 to the very beginning of 2022, it's been a very, very fast change and a very unique situation for HOLOSUN in this industry to grow so quickly. So in the US market, HOLOSUN's kind of had a different way of growing than a lot of our high-end competition. If you look at some of the companies that really started this industry, they began by selling to the military. And then from the military, they started selling to the police. And then from both of those, they started selling to consumers. By the time HOLOSUN came into the picture in 2014, it was a completely different market. You've had hundreds of brands out there selling many different types of optics, often red dots. And it's very difficult, whether you're a police officer, a military buyer, or even a gun store buyer, to look at a new product and say, okay, well, what makes that different? I don't have time in my day to look at 100 different brands and decide if there's anything new and up and coming, right? So HOLOSUN had to grow in really the opposite way of some of our high-end competition. Essentially, we started with consumers. And when I say that, we didn't start by marketing, by sending magazine ads out and commercials to consumers. We started by making a great product with unique features and selling it at a price that was very reasonable. And that combination created a value in the marketplace that really set us apart from any of our competitors, whether in the mid-end or the high-end. We were in this space that nobody else was occupying. That was very, very interesting to social media influencers, because they love to have something wonderful to talk about. They love to find a diamond in the rough and then test it and really say, is this worth it or not? That huge audience of these social media influencers. And what we would do is we would send an optic to a social media influencer, and we would say, please give us your honest opinion. Be fair. Give us a chance to address any questions or concerns that you have, but say what you will. We're going to send you a product. You tell us what you think of it. You tell your consumers, your audience, what you think of it. And by doing that, we became the best kept secret in the optics industry. But it wasn't really a secret. It was being broadcast to millions of people on platforms like YouTube and Instagram. And as people began to see these reviews and see torture tests where, some of these optics were shot by shotguns, some of them were strapped to a motorcycle wheel and spun around at 70 miles an hour and then tested, there was very creative torture that was done. Terrible, wonderful things were done to these optics, and they survived. Not only did they survive, but they held zero. And then, of course, you had police officers and folks in the military watching these videos as well, because a lot of these influencers are also trainers for the military and police. Now you have the military and the police starting to ask HOLOSUN, hey, can you bid on a contract?
All right, so new products for 2022. Actually, we would start with the AIMS. This is actually already out. This has all the features of a 510C, where you have the solar panel on top. You've got the multi-reticle system with a 65 MOA ring and 2 MOA dot. Nice, large field of view as you're looking through the optic, looking through the lens. But now you've also got a fully enclosed system. That's important for a couple of reasons. Number one, you've got a nitrogen purge inside. So as you go from hot to cold or cold to hot, your lens is less likely to fog. And number two, it protects your emitter and your lenses from the elements. I mean, if you compare it to one of our traditional 20 millimeter tube optics, it's shorter from front to back, it's lighter, it has a bigger field of view. There's really no comparison. The form factor sets this completely apart from the old style of red dots. We'll also be launching what we call our rail-mounted laser, or RML. This fits on any standard Picatinny rail. It's really meant for pistols, but you certainly could put it on a rifle. Red, green, or IR laser. I believe red will come out first, then green, and then IR. Another optic that we'll be coming out with in 2022, we call our solar charging sight. So as you can see, this is a very, very low profile optic. The base is meant to actually fit without a plate onto an optics ready pistol. So we'll make different versions of this for different versions of pistols. So there'll be a Glock MOS version, for example. The top deck here is meant to be in line with the top of the slide. That means you'll be able to use your iron sights without having to get suppressor height sights. This unit has a rechargeable battery inside, combined with a fairly large solar panel. This unit can almost run indefinitely, and the way that we manage that, because the battery can be recharged, and because the optic can run with just solar power, and because the solar panel is a light sensor, the optic sets the brightness of the reticle higher or lower, depending on the amount of light hitting the solar panel, the sensor. So let's say you put this in a safe in complete darkness. It's going to lower reticle intensity all the way down to where it's barely drawing any power at all. And that battery that you've charged up with the light from the sun or from your ambient light will last more than a year. This unit will have the ability to change reticles with this button on the side. So you'll have a multi-reticle system in here. You won't have shake awake because this is always on. But this is going to change, I think, how optics are seen, how pistol optics are used in this industry. It will seem like this is completely part of the pistol, not just something that you bolt onto the pistol. We're also very excited on the pistol side to come out with our EPS, or enclosed pistol sight. This will be available in a full size, which will be called the EPS, and in a carry size, which is going to be called the EPS carry. This allows you to have a fully enclosed optic while still being able to screw the optic onto the slide of your pistol. So there's no clamping system like our 509T has. Now using the same footprint as the K series, it's a very rugged optic, a milled aircraft grade aluminum housing. This will be a 6 MOA dot. You've got a side mount battery with the solar failsafe. So quality assurance at HOLOSUN and how we are able to make the quality of optics that we make is a question we get all the time, where products are made, because they have a feeling of quality level depending on the country that a product is coming from. Our products are made in China. We get questions about that all the time. I think it's fairly easy for us to address any quality concerns customers have. For a couple of reasons. Number one, there's hundreds of torture test videos online where you can watch our optics being terribly abused and still working afterwards. But number two, it's important for our customers to know we try and make everything that we can that's put into this optic. So I don't know what the exact percentage is, but I would hazard to guess somewhere between 90 and 95% of the components inside this optic we make ourselves. We don't make the glass, but we do buy the glass, polish it, and coat it ourselves. Manufacturing things ourselves, we're able to control the quality. I would compare it to an iPhone, right? An iPhone is made in China using very, very strict quality controls. And because of that, you get a very, very high quality product. It's the same thing with HOLOSUN. The product quality on our products is one of the main reasons why the HOLOSUN brand has grown so quickly. You know, that really can match up with some of the high-end leaders of the industry products. If you did the same kind of testing on the two products, you'd find that HOLOSUN was just as good. And we're able to do that because we really seriously care about our brand and our product quality.
Aujourd'hui, nous sommes avec Chris Tacos, officiel.
Comment ça va, tia? Tudo que é estudo do caralho. Donc, la manipulation do pistolet. Tu mets le cartouche comme ça, tu rentres dans le pistolet, tu armes le pistolet, tu mets en chaud, et après tu tires.